Hi everyone, welcome to the second video for today. In the first video, we reviewed the prompt by using our prompt attack skills. So if you have not watched that, please check that out. In this video, I'm going to now look at how to construct your response. So again, here is our prompt for our writing assignment today. Okay. So in the prompt attack video, I identified that there was not a specific format identified in this prompt. Therefore, I can assume that I will need to write a well-constructed Acqc paragraph. So let's just review what that actually means and what is expected. Okay, so A is for assertion. Your assertion is the topic sentence of the paragraph. It answers all parts of the prompt and it guides what the rest of your paragraph is about. Everything else in your paragraph is supporting your assertion. Context. So the context introduces your quote and it provides information that the reader might need to understand the quote from the passage, because again, the reader might not have read the same passage that you did. Quote, okay, this is evidence directly from the text, and it should support your analysis. And the quote shouldn't just be a random quote. It should be a quote that supports your answer in the assertion. And that's where your commentary comes in. Commentary, it explains your evidence. So what does your evidence mean? You're going to break it down and analyze the piece of evidence. And then you also need to explain how it supports your assertion. So why did you pick that piece of evidence? What does it show? How does it help you answer the question? Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of the assertion statement that I developed for answering this prompt, and then how I embedded the quote in my passage, and then the commentary I provided, and I'll explain how that explains the quote and how it supports my assertion. Okay, so here's my assertion sentence. Okay, in the short story named Nombres by Julia Alvarez, and the memoir My Name Is by Jason Kim, both authors are pressured to give up their cultures, because people mispronounce their names. Okay, so if you remember from our prompt, so let's go back up. Okay, we are trying to answer this question. How were the narrators influenced by the experience of people mispronouncing their names? Okay, so it's clear in my assertion statement, I answered that. I said that they are pressured to give up their cultures because people were mispronouncing their name or not saying their name correctly. Okay, I also made sure to, when I was starting off my assertion statement, to name the text and the authors, because remember, we're trying to prove how the narrators or the speakers, in this case it was the authors, how their experience, how they experience people mispronouncing their name. Okay, so this is my assertion statement. You might have a different answer or a different way to set up your assertion, but again, feel free to use, feel free again to steal any of this that you want. Okay, so the second part of the prompt said that we need to provide evidence from both texts to support our responses. So I'm only going to provide evidence from one because this is just a model, but you need to find from both, okay? So in my example, okay, so here is my evidence. So I have a good transition, for example, okay? In the story named Nombres, the author states, my initial desire to be known by my correct Dominican name faded. I just want to be Judy and merge with the Sallys and the Janes in my class. Okay? So I have this expression, for example, to kind of alert the reader that a piece of evidence is coming. Again, this is my quote. I didn't write a context piece to this. So I have the phrase, for example. You can also say, in the text it states. I gave the name of the title. And then when I have my quotes, I took this directly from the text. I just copy and pasted. I start off my quote with my quotations. Okay. So this shows, like, this is a visual cue to the author that this is a quote taken from another passage. Okay. And at the end, I give the location. Okay. Paragraph 16. So I have paragraph 16 in parentheses. Okay. So here's my quote, or the evidence. Okay. Now I'm going to give you my commentary. So remember, commentary needs to explain what your quote means, but then it also has to support or show the connection between your assertion. Okay, so this quote shows, okay, I can just be very direct and telling the reader, I'm going to explain the quote now. This quote shows how the author wanted to be more like the students in her class who she thought were real Americans. Okay, so this first sentence is explaining the evidence. Again, your commentary doesn't just have to be limited to one sentence. Okay, write as much as you need to again explain the evidence and then explain how it connects and supports your assertion. Okay, so my second sentence is trying to show how the quote supports my assertion. In order to become more like the students in her class, this meant that Julia needed to give up her Dominican culture. Okay, so by becoming Judy, I could even add, she gave up her name Julia, or Julia, which was a part of her Dominican culture, to be more like the other people in her class. Okay, so this is a good example of what your commentary should look like. Okay, feel free to take this evidence. You can, maybe you also don't agree with what I wrote in the commentary. But again, your commentary will be different if your assertion statement is different. Okay, so your commentary is always going to be a little bit different depending on what your assertion statement would be or your response. So again, you can take any of this that you want. You can make it your own, but just remember, you still need to find another piece of evidence from the Jason Kim article that also supports your assertion statement. So I hope this helped. Please give me a call, send me a message on Google Classrooms if you're still having trouble forming an Acqc paragraph. Okay, but I know that you will do a great job. A lot of you have been doing really well the last couple of weeks with this. Just take your time. Again, follow the criteria for success. Again, it is going to help you remember what you need to include to be successful. Okay? Have a good day.